This is the whole thing. This is the highlight of the night. We have our first look at the composition of today's electorate, our first chance to talk to NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki, who is, of course, as he will be all night long, at the big board with early exit poll data. Steve, what do you got?
Yeah, Nicole, I guess one thing to keep in mind here is there are only 3 states tonight where we're going to have exit polls. So most of the states that vote, we won't have exit polls for. But Virginia, North Carolina, and California, we have some exit poll data for. And secondly, if you've been watching the first couple of primaries here, there's always a disclaimer when we show you exit polls at this time of night or late afternoon, this early. This is the initial wave of exit polling results. There are more interviews that are going to be conducted that are going to go into this poll. The poll is sort of a work in progress. We're showing you a picture that's beginning to come into focus, but that picture is not yet fully in focus yet. So with those disclaimers, let's take a look right now at what we're finding in this initial wave of exit polls. I think one key question has been, what's the composition of the electorate in each state in terms of party identification? We're asking voters here, do you think of yourself as a Republican, as an independent, or as a Democrat? And the higher that non-Republican number's been, we've seen the better Nikki Haley's been doing. So in Virginia, in this initial wave, 60% calling themselves Republicans, 29 independent. There's a rounding here. That's why it's going to add up to 101 on your screen. And 12% calling themselves a Democrat. So it's about a 60-40 split, Republican, non-Republican. Now, one sort of metric to keep in mind here, one benchmark to keep in mind in what so far has been Nikki Haley's best state. That's New Hampshire. Remember, she got 43% of the vote in New Hampshire. The Republican, non-Republican split was literally 50-50. It was exactly split in half. Non-Republicans in New Hampshire made up half the electorate. Haley got 43% of the vote. It was still 11 points shy of Trump. He beat her by 11 points, but that was her best showing. It was 50% Republican and 50% non in New Hampshire. Here it's about 40% non-Republican. That is Virginia. Polls will close there at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Take a look now at North Carolina here. Same question. How do you think of yourself? What party? 62 Republican, 34 independent, 4 Democratic. And again, that's a 62-38 split. Context for that, 50-50 is the mix that so far has produced the best result for Nikki Haley in these primaries. One more we can show you, California. And the key on California is this is a little complicated, so stay with me here. California is a closed primary, so you have to be a registered Republican to vote in this primary. But we're still asking the question, because people sometimes are registered with parties and they're kind of stuck there. They may not want to be there. They may have, forgotten to change their registration or something. So we're asking folks, you're a registered Republican. You're voting in this primary. But how do you think of yourself? Do you necessarily think of yourself as a Republican? And so that's what we see here in California. 66%, 2/3 say they think of themselves as a Republican, 32 independent, 1% Democratic. So basically a 2/3, 1/3 split in California. Again, the key there. This is very different than New Hampshire, South Carolina, Michigan, states we've already seen. It's very different than Virginia and North Carolina tonight. California is a closed primary state. So it's a massive state. And population-wise, there's a lot of folks in California, big, sprawling, metropolitan, suburban areas, a lot of areas in California that are demographically extremely favorable to Nikki Haley. But anyone who's an independent and anyone who's a Democrat in those areas, and that's a lot of voters in all those areas, can't vote in this primary. So this is just among registered Republicans. 2/3 think of themselves as Republicans. 1/3 think of themselves as non-Republicans. And again, the benchmark for Haley so far, the best number she's gotten in New Hampshire was 50-50. One other way of looking at these electorates, I think this has been a good way to compare state to state, just sort of the nature of the electorate in each state. We've been asking this question in the exit poll of Republican primary voters. Did Joe Biden legitimately win the election in 2020? And again, you're seeing variance state to state right here. So let's start in Virginia on that question. And it's a split here. 45% saying yes, Joe Biden legitimately won in 2020. 46% in this first wave of our exit poll saying no, Joe Biden didn't. Now, again, in the state that was best for Nikki Haley so far, and that is New Hampshire, 11-point loss, 43% of the vote. The percent who said in New Hampshire that Biden legitimately won in 2020 was 46%. So basically, what happened in New Hampshire on this question right now, at least, is what we're seeing in Virginia. What about the other two states where we're conducting exit polls here? North Carolina. Here you see a different result. It's 34% yes, 60% no. And again, that puts North Carolina on this question basically in the same bucket as South Carolina. In South Carolina, it was 36% who said Biden had won legitimately. Here in this first wave, 34% in North Carolina. And then let's go to California. And again, it's a little counterintuitive because when you just think of California as a whole, you think of a big, giant blue state, a lot of moderate Republicans, this sort of thing. Well, again, closed primary here. So the number in California is just 33%. That's actually the smallest number right now of the three states that we're polling on this. The most overwhelmingly Democratic state in this Republican universe, the smallest share who think that Biden legitimately won in 2020. So you see 33, 57, 10% expressing no opinion on this. Again, initial wave here. We'll have several more. And at 7 o'clock, Virginia polls close. Vermont polls close. 7:30, we're going to start getting North Carolina. And then 8 o'clock, we're going to get it. They're start going to come in bunches every hour at 8 o'clock. So pretty soon here, less than 2 hours, the exit polls will be supplanted with the real polls, the votes.
Steve Kornacki, did you say that 60% of the self-identified Republicans are election deniers? They don't believe Joe Biden legitimately won in North Carolina? In
North Carolina, I think that, let's go back here. I'll get it exactly on the screen here. 60% in North Carolina said no. 34% said yes. Just by comparison, because I say this number's bounced around in different states. In Iowa, now remember, Iowa, a caucus state, so smaller turnout, but more of a sort of hardcore Republican base there. This number came in at 29% on this question. 29% in Iowa said Biden legitimately won in 2020. New Hampshire, a primary, lots of independent participation, 46% said that Biden had won legitimately in 2020. And then in South Carolina, where Haley got 40% of the vote, her home state, the number was 36%. So that's the context. Michigan, we didn't have exit polls for, by the way. That's why I'm not including Michigan here. But 29, 46, 36, the three we've seen so far. And in that context, you can put 34% here in North Carolina, 33% right now in California, and right now, at least in Virginia, 45%. So Virginia on par with New Hampshire. South Carolina is sort of on par with North Carolina. And honestly, the California numbers look a bit like the Iowa numbers, again, because it's that closed Republican primary.